Chapter 56:15. Forget it. Jian Wushuang shook his head, and then said to the old man Kai Hao, I left a token near this place. If you can find it by fate, you can let the talented among the younger generations find me. Then he left a seal in the jade board and left. This jade board, the final result will definitely fall into the hands of the gods. Even if he does not give them to these people, he will still be in the wild at will, and eventually will be in the hands of the gods. Because this is something of a god, this cannot be changed. After Jian Wushuang broke open and left, all the human monks, except the baby who was held by Jian Wushuang, went crazy looking for tokens. This is a great opportunity. This is interesting. Jian Wushuang kept flying towards the holy land of the human race in the record, feeling more and more interesting in his heart. He strayed into the age of God in Maru, or time and space. It seems that the god of God was born in this era, and after 3 eras, it opened up its own era. Maybe he can still meet the gods. Judging from the records, the Chishan was very ordinary in the early stage, and in the glorious era of the human race, the Chishan was only an earth fairy. In the age of chaotic stars, the Chishan slowly emerged. According to the record, the era of God ended when a human race monk became a tribulation realm and then led the human race to the peak human race era with one person. In this era, the human family is not the only one. Said it was the human race era. In fact, the strong human race at the time didn't think so, it was just the people of later generations who named this era. Although the human race has appeared in the tribulation realm and perfected the cultivation method, the comprehensive strength of the human race is far inferior to the rest of the race in the long river of time and space. There is only one peak powerhouse, which is far from enough. At this time, there is a high probability that the strong robbery realm will appear. I just don't know if it's the holy land of the human race on this continent. His current location is almost a cosmic distance from the holy land of human race. In order to be able to arrive quickly, Jian Wushuang directly used the ancient changes, and his strength was raised to the peak. Now, the closer he is to He Dao, the faster his strength will increase. I don't know if it is good or bad. He has not heard of this phenomenon. So that his strength has overflowed a bit. In the normal state, he has the top combat power. After displaying the peak state after the ancient changes, he has already had the perfect combat power, which is much stronger than the strength he previously expected after joining the Dao. Could it be said that after he is in harmony, he will be invincible directly? Now he dare not say that he is the invincible emperor, he can only say that he has few rivals. The appearance of the power of the starry sky really made his strength beyond his cognition, but as long as there is no after effect, he can accept it. 10 days. In just 10 days, he traveled across a universe and reached the holy land of the human race. Tunglong continent, one of the holy places of the human race, is the holy land of this continent, not the holy land of the human race in the long river of time and space. But it's not much different. The lives bred in the universe now are mostly special lives, without ethnic groups. At the peak of the human race, the Great Migration began and entered the life of the universe. The current human races all live in time and space secrets. This is why, those special beings have always said that the universe is their hometown, not the territory of the human race at all. After entering the Tamron continent, human races can be seen everywhere. Without the desolate beasts, this continent is so pleasing to the eye. After came here, Jian Wushuang moved forward in no hurry. Anyway, he hasn't found a way to leave. It's better to travel and live here for a while before talking about it. Tunglong continent, in a small country in the eastern region far away from Zhengzhou, Jian Wushuang turned into a mundane and began a mundane life. In the days of God, the human race's own practice methods were not perfect, he didn't need to learn from practice. Can only wait slowly. This piece of spacetime fragments carry a short time, but the space is not small. Such an ancient continent is tens of thousands of times larger than the original universe. Time flies. Jian Wushuang wonders if he can survive the birth of Chishan. It only took 1,000,000 years, and he disappeared from here. When appeared again, it was still a spacetime vortex. It's just that now he is wearing an ancient monk's costume, and the jade board is gone. It seems that everything is real. Within 1,000,000 years, he had the opportunity to travel across the Tunglong continent, and he left many opportunities in that holy land of the human race. Although it is only useful to the mundane, it can also change the history of some human races and accelerate the human race to become the pinnacle race. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly, still in the vortex of time and space. Is it necessary for him to experience Maruo time and space before letting him leave? Jian Wushuang teleported again and entered a huge fragment of time and space. Same as last time, after the darkness, he saw the time before him clearly. The village is very desolate. Grass can be seen everywhere, and there is smoke in the hut. This is an ordinary village. There is not a trace of breath nearby. This time, it is the era of chaotic starfield. The human race has undergone a great migration and entered the universe. He is in a magnificent universe, although most of them are mundane, but there are already a lot of monks. In this world that is in, there is already an emperor. This is just a middle boundary. Jian Wushuang suddenly appeared, scaring the scalpers in the bullpen next door and screaming. A cow-herding child jumped and rushed forward, and when he saw Jian Wushuang dressed up, he was shocked. For these mortals, they have never seen such a clean mundane. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang is not mundane. Smiled at the child, Jian Wushuang was about to leave directly, come to meet the emperor. At the beginning in Tamron continent, he had met several emperors, but their strength was too weak. Also didn't see the robbery realm powerhouse who brought the human race to the top, and didn't have any intersection with those people. He just observed it secretly and left. This time, he felt more than one emperor. There are at least hundreds of emperors in the entire universe sect. And the strength is not weak. In the era of chaotic stars, the gods have risen, and he just took the opportunity to inquire about the gods. Just about to leave, Jian Wushuang stopped again. He looked at the dark-skinned child, and the more he looked, the more familiar he became, and he felt that he had seen the child there. Your last name is Bai? Jian Wushuang asked tentatively. The child watched Jian Wushuang talk to him, and was not afraid, so he said, naughty, why should I tell you? Jian Wushuang just flipped his palm, and there was a bunch of candied haws in his hand, and asked again, what's your name? White Gaodan. The child didn't think his hands were dirty, so he grabbed the candied haws instead of holding a lot like Jian Wushuang. Chapter 56:16. Ha 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 tilde Jian Wushuang touched the child's head with one hand and couldn't help laughing. This child should be the ancestor of King White or his father. It looks so much like that face of King Bai. When the people in the house heard the laughter, they thought someone was coming and walked out, but only saw the child standing outside the cowshed, holding a tuft of cow dung and licking it. Duggan, are you stupid? The woman who came out walked into the house worrying about Gaugan's ears, cursing as she walked. You idiot, you haven't eaten enough before, eat with cow dung, later your second uncle will come, thinking that my old lady can't support you. After cursing, the woman was still a little confused. She kicked Godans twice and said, this time your second uncle is here, you are ready to take you into the city and go to Kixuanmen as a disciple. You give me something brilliant, did you hear me? Jian Wushuang, who flew into the clouds, couldn't help but smile. This feeling is amazing. He now understands why his teacher Xuani said he was waiting for him in the future. I am afraid that Xian Yi also used this method to enter their time and space. This also shows that their time and space will be broken in the future. In other words, Xian Yi has other offices entering a certain period of time and selecting descendants from a certain time in the past. He was a little different, but wanted to pry into the future from the timeline of the past. See what the gods are planning. Recovery is not that simple, it can be very complicated. What kind of power is needed? He is also very defensive. The breath leaked out, this time he didn't need to take the initiative to look for it, as long as a breath of emperor broke out, he could attract the emperor and powerful person here in person. On a Qingya peak, Jian Wushuang stopped in place. Suddenly an aurora appeared in the pale blue sky, but an extravagant man wearing a high crown appeared in an instant. Dare to ask your name, why did you appear in this dojo? The noble man was condescending, very arrogant. Jian Wushuang slowly raised his hand, but with a claw in the void, he grabbed the noble man into his hand. I ask you one sentence, you answer one sentence, dare to conceal it, I will make you die and not die again. The threatening tone made Jian Wushuang very useful. The emperor and strong man did not dare to breathe when he was frightened, because the breath of his whole body was suppressed by Jian Wushuang. This extravagant man is just a third-order emperor, and the origin Dao is still very weak. It seems to be only the fourth-rank origin Dao. With this kind of stuff, let alone the 4 secret realms of the Chishan temple, even the current primitive universe has a lot of them, and it is not worthy to serve him tea. Senior, forgive me, I said so. The extravagant man immediately begged for mercy. The gap between the two sides is too great. Even his master, I am afraid that there is no such strong pressure. What is your name? Who is master? Junior, Wutong. My master is Huang Dis' friend, Zhu Hua Taoist. Jian Wushuang grinned and said, you are threatening me. As he kept on exerting force, Wu Tong's face was flushed, already turning purple. The junior dare not, I just tell the truth. For the sake of your resemblance to an old friend of mine, I will spare your life. Jian Wushuang threw Wu Tong out. Wu Tong, Wu Zue. He was really afraid that the other party had anything to do with Wu Zue. After all, he is an emperor with an unusual background, and their descendants are likely to shine in the age of Chishan. On the contrary, he was very interested in the Huangdi that the other party said. Chishan Temple, the wild of the 3 major gods. This divine lord had saved the great wilderness at the beginning. He remembered it clearly. Now it's only the emperor, but you can ask the other party about the matter of Moruo's time and space, and inquire about the gods by the way. Huang's breath was very strong, and he could clearly feel that this time he had hidden his breath and began to approach Huang's direction. He hides his breath, no one in this universe can discover. In this era, few people can find him. In this era, there are probably not many humans in the tribulation realm. And the strength is relatively weak. In just an hour, he reached the realm where the waste was. It's not that it's very close, but it's flying in the primitive universe, much faster than in the long river of time and space, without any resistance. Because the space of the primitive universe is more pure, not as heavy as in the long river of time and space, and time is condensed in the space. It is very difficult to destroy, and the flight becomes extremely slow. At close range, Jian Wushuang could see Huang's strength at a glance, and he was absolutely perfect. The time recorded in the book should be at the end of the Star Random era, when Huang became a tribulation realm, and then followed the gods into a new era. In the first generation of the gods, the gap between the 3 gods and the gods is not big. The more the later the difference, the more obvious the gap. When the Chishan became the 7 tribulations realm, the 3 major gods were only the 5 tribulations realm. There is only one person, the smallest difference from the of disbelief, and that is the extinction. Jian Wushuang really wanted to find the old guy, take the opportunity to clean up, and relieve his anger. And also urge the other party to help a person named Jian Wushuang in the future. It's a pity that he couldn't find extinction at all. Maybe this guy has changed his name. It would be troublesome if the opponent was found to be defeated by the tribulation realm. Forget it, let's go find a silly chat first. As soon as it arrived, Jian Wushuang felt a violent force fighting. Kindness. Jian Wushuang looked down the direction, and Huang Zheng was fighting with Huang Zheng on a huge arena. The strength of that desolate beast is not weak, much stronger than the 8-clawed beast emperor who fought against Broly. Already had the power to complete perfection, but unfortunately encountered a shortage. Keep being ravaged. Jian Wushuang saw the rise, and flew directly over. In the battle, Huang put all his heart and soul into it, and didn't find Jian Wushuang at all, or some emperors who watched the battle found Jian Wushuang. You. Who are you? The surrounding emperors, all had digits, and instantly stopped Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang put his index finger to his mouth to signal these people not to disturb the fighting Huang. Under his threat, these people actually chose to shut up very obediently, and just stood there and looked at Jian Wushuang. At the same time, there are countless dazzling daggers floating around his neck. They dared to make a sound. Jian Wushuang didn't mind, killing a few emperors in advance to cheer. The wasteland in the field is like an ancient savage, barefoot with loose hair, and a stone axe in his hand. With every axe, that barren beast must be injured. 17th axe. Huang shouted angrily. After cutting it down again, the The desolate beast wailed, completely silent. A wild beast comparable to the perfect consummation just fell so small under the unpretentious axe. Chapter 56:17. Huang walked to the waste beast's corpse, drew out the giant axe inlaid on the waste beast's corpse with one hand, wiped it, and pinned the axe to his waist. At this moment, he realized that someone was watching him. And it's a strong man you don't know, just like a black hole. Who? Huang turned his head and stared at Jian Wushuang, his eyes turned, and the breath of the person in front of him converged extremely cleverly. He only found out when he reached him in a daze. I looked carefully, but found that the introverted aura, like a black hole, swallowed all the power in the body. Shortage. Jian Wushuang was also surprised when he saw the other party. The appearance of the other party and the axe in his hand surprised him greatly. He was so familiar with the axe. Once scenes in the starry sky appeared, he thought of the savage giant who was born on the wild planet. I thought of the owner of the stone axe at the time of parting. Dongjun. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, that starry sky human race should have been a dream. The result appeared in the time and space of Molo. He couldn't be more familiar with the stone axe in Huangdi's hand. He absolutely did not admit his mistake. It was definitely the one in Dongjun's hand. How would it appear here? When Huang heard Jian Wushuang reciting Dongjun silently, he was taken aback and said in surprise, "Do you know Senior Dongjun?" "No, an old friend." Jian Wushuang nodded, and then asked back, "How do you know Dongjun, and how did you get this great axe?" Those immortal emperors were relieved to see Jian Wushuang and Huangdi actually know each other. In their view, Jian Wushuang's strength is extremely powerful. If he wants to attack them, I am afraid that they will be killed in a short while. Huang held the giant axe in his hand, looked up at the sky, then looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "Are you a man of God?" God. Since the broken of God, the era of God has also ended. Huang's stone axe came from God. It is not an exaggeration to say that it was bestowed by God. The brokenness of God is a catastrophe for heaven and earth, and it is also an opportunity for practitioners. Because in God, there are countless treasures and countless inheritances hidden. These inheritances and treasures are scattered everywhere in the long river of time and space, forming a mysterious realm of stars. That is the current chaotic star field. The stone axe in Huang's hand was obtained from the chaotic star field. In addition to this stone axe, he also got an arm. The arm clung to the stone axe. After understanding why Huang got the stone axe, Jian Wushuang had even greater doubts in his heart. So that he didn't even bother to ask about the gods. This stone axe comes from God, and the so-called God has a high probability of being a treasure house left over from the previous era, or a secret hiding place that descended from the starry sky. If it is really like this, then Dongjun and the former star are much longer than Maruo time and space in ancient times. Looking at the secret text on the stone axe, it is definitely the secret text of the universe. This also shows that the star he once visited and the powerful life that gave birth to the Lord of the universe. It's just now and died. Jian Wushuang didn't expect that he would go to an even more ancient time and space without realizing it. Only at that time, he didn't know much about time and space. What's more, when he left the star, there was not even a fairy from above. He never expected that the star could multiply to such a degree. "Can you show me?" Jian Wushuang asked. Huang was also very angry and passed the stone axe directly. After receiving the stone axe, Jian Wushuang's thought power deepened, and the power of the starry sky burst out from his hands in an instant. After the stone axe was subjected to the power of the starry sky, its power was billions of times stronger than before. That force directly shattered the formation of the cage ring. Huang was also surprised that Jian Wushuang could fully explode the power of the stone axe, and his body was shaken back again and again. "Senior." Huang knelt down directly. Jian Wushuang's temples flew up, but the stone axe let out a hum, as if it was the joy of returning to the original owner. In fact, he is not the original owner. The first-generation owner of this stone axe was the owner who opened the sky and the earth. He wasn't considered a second-generation master. He simply repaired it and gave it to Dongjun. Unexpectedly, this little guy could actually nurture this stone axe into such a powerful treasure. Dongjun's strength, to say nothing, is also a power above the three tribulations realm. Only by mastering the universe and becoming the master of the universe can the treasures of the universe be nurtured. Ordinary robbery can't be done. Dongjun is so powerful, what about his cheap apprentice? Fuzhu, the first-generation patriarch of the human race. Dongjun can become the lord of the universe. I am afraid Fuzhu's strength will not be too bad. But it should have fallen. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang's self-confidence burst in his heart, and his apprentice is likely to be the master of the universe, his disciples and grandchildren, maybe they are all the masters of the universe. Except for this stone axe, what else did you get? Jian Wushuang asked curiously. He now wants to know more and more about what is conceived in God. Huang carefully took the stone axe and replied respectfully, at first, the junior was lucky and entered into a crack in time and space. Then he entered a half-plane planet. On the planet, there is only a broken arm and a stone axe. After speaking, Huang took out the severed arm directly. The power contained above was very powerful. Jian Wushuang looked at the severed arm deeply, and the more he looked at it, the more familiar it became. This broken arm is just a simple physical body, without a divine body. But the density of the flesh is very similar to his flesh. It is definitely the body of the 9 refinements. Jian Wushuang stretched out his hand and stroked it carefully. Feeling it, his brow frowned. He felt a familiar force from his arm. That is the power of the fusion of the flesh and the divine body, as well as the familiar original aura. This is especially his own arm. Jian Wushuang directly backed away a few steps, then stared at the lines on his palm, then stared at the palm of his hand. The pattern on the top is exactly the same as the pattern on the palm of his hand. What is the explanation for this? An arm is nothing to him. However, the arm was obviously chopped off by a stone axe, which explains the problem. In the past, he seemed to have had a big battle with Dongjun and eventually broke his arm. This stone axe, also stayed. But it is not very accurate to speculate like this. After he left the starry sky, he has never been to the starry sky again, which doesn't make sense. Could it be said that in the future, he will go to the starry sky, and then fight Dongjun, and his arm will be chopped off by the opponent? Either this is the reason. Either this arm is not his. But the breath of the source will not deceive him. The breath of the source is too similar to him. Life force. Jian Wushuang thought of this, and suddenly understood. Dongjun probably did not fight with him, but died. End of this chapter. Chapter 56:18. The origin of the opponent is very similar to him, although it is completely opposite, but to master the power of death, the origin of the earlier period must be similar to him. It is also extremely. If this is the case, then it makes sense. Extinction came from the time and space of Maruo in the ancient times, and the time of God in the time and space of Maruo. Maybe Dongjun was still alive, and later fought against extinction. In this way, then the current Dongjun has a high probability of falling. And the future extinction is still alive. At the end of the star random era, the power of extinction is probably not weak anymore, at least it is the 5 tribulations. Jian Wushuang murmured to himself, letting Huangdi on the side know what to do. Senior. Huang cried cautiously. Jian Wushuang came back to his senses, leaked a smile, and said, I am not a man of God, but just like you, I have been bestowed by God. The other party answered his doubts, and he had nothing to hide. After all, he was an ancestor. Saying it means not saying that these people just live in this small piece of time and space, and they will soon disappear, and they are not enough to change history. I chatted with Emperor Huang for a while, this time mainly discussing the chaotic star field. At the same time, he also inquired about an existence called Qi. But Huang didn't know him. This made Jian Wushuang very surprised. According to common sense, at this time, Qishan should be a resounding character. How come Huang hasn't heard of it? Could it be said that the true fate of the gods does not contain the ambiguous words? If this is the case, he is unlucky. By the way, he asked about the existence of some catastrophes in the human race. After not finding any special existence, he heaved a sigh of relief. Now he has no need to stay. This time and space is too big, the more you delve into it, the less you can see any clues, only a few words. Just when he was about to leave, Huang stopped him. Senior, is there really life in the Chaos Star territory? This was Huang's biggest doubt. Because at the beginning, he had seen a moving old man in the heavens, but the other party did not have the power of life, but instead represented death. Jian Wushuang was asked this question. He really didn't know, but he didn't panic either, but instead asked, "Why do you think so?" Huang didn't reserve this time, so he told the scene he saw before God broke. Die. The mark on Jian Wushuang's eyebrows kept flickering. Extinction. Yes. Jian Wushuang finally said a word, and then left directly. The origin of extinction is probably related to God. The mysterious person who fought with Dongkuan also had a high probability of extinction. This world-destroying old man does not belong to this era at all. It is an old monster that has crossed over from the oldest era. At least he is a strong man in the same era as Dongjun. Wow. He directly tore through the universe and entered the long river of time and space. The power of thought spread, and the nearby cracks were instantly felt. The space of this spacetime fragment is not too big. It just covers a few universes. It's far less huge than the continent that I visited for the first time. But it is much larger in space, because the distance between each universe is huge, and the intermediate distance may be able to store tens of thousands of universes. Flying in this chaotic void, the speed is not so fast. Extinction. A bold thought appeared in Jian Wushuang's mind. If he killed Xsheng ahead of time, wouldn't there be so many things in the future? No. Jian Wushuang shook his head again. Extinction does not belong here either. He can't find the time period when extinction was born. Even if he finds extinction now, I am afraid that the opponent's strength is much stronger than him. In this case, he can only give up this idea and start a long layout. Layout for the future. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang began to deliberately search for the strong men recorded in the Temple of Chishan, and constantly speed up their process of entering the road of cultivation. The first is the White King, who has some connections with Jian Wushuang. Although in the future, King White will die miserably, even before the age of the gods, King White will be nothing more than a small person. Cannot set off too much waves. But with his help, King White's strength will most likely exceed the future. Maybe it will give him a surprise. In addition to King Bai, Jian Wushuang dived into this universe, constantly searching, and found that at least 6 universe masters would be born in the future of this universe. This is in addition to the Desolate Master. These 6 Tribulation Realm powerhouses, because they were born relatively early, have caught up with the peak age of the gods. They are very powerful, and they are also the top group of people under the gods. Each is the master of the 4 Tribulations Realm universe. Only now, they are only Earth immortals. It is Yangxian, on the way to explore the avenue. With Jian Wushuang's qualifications, enough to teach these people. At least let these people understand that it is not as good as if the ultimate way is not cultivated to reach consummation. Now that you have mastered the ultimate way, you must cultivate to consummation. Every realm is cultivated to the extreme, and only in this way can we lay a solid foundation for the future and become the pinnacle powerhouse among the masters of the universe. In a cosmic secret, the 7 disciples under Jian Wushuang's command were besieging a desolate beast at the celestial level. The strength of this desolate beast already had rank 9 combat power. The 7 disciples are all Earth immortals. It was extremely difficult to besiege and kill a desolate beast with the power of the ninth rank celestial immortal. But if it's simple, it won't let them besiege together. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly when he saw their embarrassed look. Angrily shouted, "A mere 9-turned heavenly immortal makes you so embarrassed. How can you become a peak power in the future? Stand up for me." At the beginning, when he was just a fairy cultivator, he would be able to kill the ninth rank Dian fairy alone. Dao Jun is even more invincible. These guys are at this level. He really doesn't know how to become the master of the universe. 6 of them are already definitive masters of the universe, and there will be records in the future. There is another one who has talents leading the other 6, but there is no record of the other party. I am afraid that in the future, there will be a high probability of death. But Jian Wushuang didn't give up on the other side. Maybe he could reverse history. Boom. Hearing his scolding, Several disciples have also exploded to their full potential and attacked again. Only then did Jian Wushuang smile with satisfaction. These little guys, it's time to break through. For millions of years, he has taught everything he can. After becoming an immortal, to embark on the ultimate path, they need to work hard alone. A drag force comes from the sky. Jian Wushuang knew that he was leaving. At this time, the 7 people formed a formation and completely suppressed the wild beast. Master, we did it. Several disciples came excitedly. You can see Jian Wushuang's complexion, which is not very good, and it is often distorted. That was the countercurrent of space and time. Jian Wushuang might leave at any time. Chapter 56:19. Master. These disciples naturally did not know why this was, and hurried forward. Jian Wushuang stopped them, barely let out a smile of relief, and said, "You are excellent, I am very happy, but I was seriously injured and there is no way to survive. Remember to practice hard." Who is it? Several disciples asked one after another. Jian Wushuang has been a master and a father for millions of years. Hearing that the master himself was hurt, I wanted to know who was able to seriously hurt their master. Stupid boy, don't ask too much, there will be an announcement in the future, you don't need to avenge me. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said so, but he still took out a mustard seed and said tremblingly, "This is what I left for you. The treasures you leave, practice hard, don't say it's my disciple." These treasures were all searched out by him in this cosmic secret realm, enough for these 7 people to cultivate to the 5th order emperor. If you want to become stronger later, you need to travel to the long river of time and space and go alone. Jian Wushuang's figure began to slowly disappear, and finally returned to the vortex of time and space. The 7 disciples washed their faces with tears, and even the master's body was not left, so they could only get Jian Wushuang a cloak. And at the top is also signed Wu Shuang Jian Tomb. The future of these 7 people has indeed changed the history of the era of the gods, but it has not affected the extinction. Because the strongest among them has just reached the pinnacle of the 5 tribulations realm. It's just that Jian Wushuang has been in the vortex of time and space, and he hasn't confirmed it in the Chishan temple. How difficult it is to change. After Jian Wushuang left the spacetime fragment, he entered a huge spacetime fragment again. Another reincarnation. And this time, Jian Wushuang came to the oldest era in Maruo time and space. Ancient times. This is an era without human races. The era of wild beasts rampant. In the fragment of time and space where he was, there was an innate beast god. When Jian Wushuang felt the breath, he was scared to gasp. He turned his body into the appearance of a wild beast, and started to practice with reference to the innate beast at a location far away. It's just that this desolate beast is not a candle dragon, otherwise, after feeling the candle dragon kit on his body, I am afraid that he will not be spared. After millions of years, Jian Wushuang disappeared again. This time he has experience and can calculate that era based on the surface of the spacetime fragments. Then went to the time period when the era of God came. He felt that the appearance of the human race had a lot to do with the time of God. In the age of God, only the human race could get the totem of God, and the heavens behind were shattered and the chaotic star field turned into is also because of the human race. After the great prosperity of the human race, a chaotic star field appeared. Most of the treasures were taken away by the human race. After the age of prosperity, those wild beasts could not compete with the human race for treasures. Even the primitive universes formed by the innate are occupied by the human race. On a swaying sacred mountain, Jian Wushuang looked at the divine light in the sky behind his hands. A moment ago, it was still ancient. The next moment is the time when God descends. From this moment, the human race began to be bred from the life of all things. At the moment human race appeared, Jian Wushuang obviously felt a powerful soul power descend on the mainland. It really has something to do with God. Jian Wushuang stared at the shining divine light of God, frowned slightly, and felt eager to try his upper body, wanting to go in and see what happened. This God must have something to do with the human race in the starry sky. Maybe all the secrets lie in it. Boom. Under the ray of light, Jian Wushuang saw the totem leaped by God Liu. Under such a shining light, there is a huge horror hidden. The secret of Maru or time and space. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows flickered, and the next moment he went directly to the top. The power of the starry sky burst suddenly. The flesh swelled in a circle for it. He couldn't handle this power. Jian Wushuang instantly wilted. This time, he was more convinced that God came from the stars. And Miesheng is a character of the same age as Dongjun, a strong man in the starry sky. The secret of the starry sky is not the only one. Jian Wushuang got up with difficulty. For him, the starry sky is indeed not the only one. Perhaps he will be able to defeat extinction by leaving the starry sky. The other party came from the starry sky, which shows that Miesheng knows the starry sky better than him. And also know that he has the power of life. This is a chess game set from the beginning. Kai. Through the light of God, the two forces face each other. Among the heavens, on a dilapidated wooden boat, extinguished life carrying the soul lamp, wandering to the heavens. Jian Wushuang slowly raised his palm. When he first touched God, he also felt a force of death. Extinction is just above. It's just strength, stronger than he thought. The extinction in the heavens may be stronger than the future gods. It seems that if he hasn't crossed a time and space, his strength will drop sharply. Jian Wushuang had an answer in his heart. The extinction in the heavens is probably an existence beyond the seven tribulations realm. After the divine destruction, the extinction reaches the Maru or time and space, only half the strength of the seven tribulations realm. Now in the time and space outside their original universe, I am afraid that the strength of extinction will be reduced. It's just that the real spirit doesn't know this. In the future world, in order to swallow him, extinction chooses to cut the realm and fall to the top. Maybe it's not that the other party is willing to cut the realm. It's that extinction has entered the future just like him. Extinction has crossed time and space many times, but he himself has not reached the point of completely mastering time and space, so he will fall every time. When it comes to the future time and space, only the ultimate combat power is left. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang was decisive enough to choose to die directly in the future world. Extinction will have to return to the current main time and space. It's no wonder that the inner demon doesn't know Miesheng, because Miesheng didn't take the inner demon seriously and chose to do it himself. After knowing everything repeatedly, Jian Wushuang couldn't help feeling afraid. Past and present lives, as well as the future, are all laid out for extinction. Then he came here. I'm afraid it also has a lot to do with extinction. His layout, I am afraid, from the perspective of Daisheng, it is like a child's play. Almost calculated by you again. Jian Wushuang looked up at the rays of light emitted from the heavens. If he is entangled here, he will face extinction eventually, and he will not be able to escape by then. Fortunately, with good luck, the fragments that entered Moro's time and space for the third time did not encounter extinction. This time it was the closest, but it was a pity that extinction couldn't come out now. This is the early days of God's era, and extinction will never come down. After Jian Wushuang figured it out, he couldn't help laughing and saying, "Extinction, you count it, after all, it's not the way of heaven, I will kill you in the future world." The future world he entered for the first time was the future designed for him by Miesheng. That is an inaccurate future, and he will not be affected. Everything is up to him. If he really fails, he won't be able to die. Chapter 56:20. The extinction in the heavens seemed to hear Jian Wushuang's words, and the power of death exploded one after another. Anxious. Jian Wushuang shook his head and laughed. Boom. He did not expect that the extinction in the heavens, completely furious, directly cast down the power of death, condensing countless extinctions. Jian Wushuang. Each of these black phantoms has the ultimate combat power. Jian Wushuang was also taken aback at first, only to look at it for a while, and found that these black phantoms were all transformed by the power of death. Although they had superb combat power, they could not last and could not threaten him at all. Miesheng, your calculation is perfect, but it's a pity that you missed a little. Jian Wushuang stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking countless black phantoms, transforming and fusing together, and the aura continued to grow stronger. But Jian Wushuang didn't panic at all. Even if they are fused together, the ultimate is the ultimate after all. After he draws on the power of the starry sky from the heavens, he can reach the tribulation realm in an instant. In this place, Jian Wushuang did not die in the slightest. Fusion's extinct complexion changed, and he was surprised. What did this seat miss? You should know that I have been to the starry sky, but you would never think of my identity in the starry sky. Jian Wushuang looked down below, leaking a sneer. Miesheng narrowed his eyes, disdainfully said, "Oh? Really? Even if you have a relationship with Dongjun, I don't care, because Dongjun is dead." Dongjun? Jian Wushuang held his head up. Just as he had guessed, Dongjun really died at Miesheng's hands. Miesheng continued, "You really know Dongjun. Apart from him, I don't think anyone can make you so calm. You only need to know one thing now. I am the only one in God and no one can save you. You can actually kill Dongjun." Jian Wushuang pretended to be surprised. In fact, he knew very little about the Starry Sky human race, because the original Starry Sky human race was so weak that he didn't pay attention to it at all. So if you take the opportunity to kill the life, you want to know more about how the Starry Sky human race in the heavens has perished, or how strong it is. Seeing Jian Wushuang's surprise, Miesheng sneered and said, "Do you really think Dongjun is very powerful? Compared to Shinkong, he is just a worm. I am the real overlord of the Starry Sky, the choice of the human race." "Mph, I don't believe it." Jian was double-faced, color sank slightly, and then said, "Dongjun's strength, so powerful, how can you lose to the Six Tribulations realm?" Miesheng couldn't help laughing after hearing it. Yes, the Six Tribulations realm is indeed not Dongjun's opponent, even the divine god, it's not Dongjun's opponent, but this seat is the Nine Tribulations realm, believe it or not. Miesheng raised a finger and pointed to it. Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang didn't dodge. He only dissolved the aura at the front, sarcastically. "If you are in the Nine Tribulations realm, you still need to swallow the life force. Didn't you control time and space early and travel at will?" He broke the lie of extinction in one sentence. It's not necessary to pretend in front of him. After being exposed, Miesheng's face changed drastically, and he shouted angrily, "Boy, you dare to play with me." Only then did he understand that Jian Wushuang already knew his previous layout. Immediately, he started directly, and the condensed death body turned into a black mist, which instantly eroded the heaven and the earth, causing the entire space to lose the power of all things. Complete death, it was a desolate landscape. Jian Wushuang stood still. Eternal change. Under God, he is invincible. Because there is a huge amount of starry sky power in the heavens, which is continuously declining, entering Jian Wushuang's body, allowing him to instantly reach the power of the robbery realm. This scene stunned the life. He didn't expect Jian Wushuang to be so powerful with the help of the power of the heavens. His deity is equally powerful in the heavens. This is the unique power of Shinkong life, how Jian Wushuang can master it, and it can still be so powerful. "What realm are you in the starry sky?" Miesheng couldn't help asking. However, Jian Wushuang kept silent and shot directly. He didn't want to say a word about extinction, otherwise he would be calculated by the other party. When he came up, he shot with all his strength, facing the death body. His life force broke out, and the life force controlled by the robbery directly dissipated the breath of death. This consciousness of extinction was also instantly defeated. At the moment when the opponent was defeated, Jian Wushuang squeezed the remaining consciousness of extinction. "Want to run?" Jian Wushuang pinched the opponent's incomplete consciousness and directly sealed it in the long river of time and space on the Guantian chessboard. After Miesheng's consciousness entered the Guantian chessboard, his complexion changed drastically, and his tone was incredible. "How can you have the treasure of time and space? I really can't tell you this." Jian Wushuang finished speaking, and directly suppressed the remaining consciousness of extinction to the bottom of the Guantian River. In the sea of origin in his body, the power of death that was hidden from life was also grasped by Jian Wushuang. "Mph, now you have lost the madam and broke down, with the consciousness of extinction, plus the power of death. He can completely create a Dharma body that exterminates life. Mieshing can swallow him, and he can also swallow Mieshing. This is also a great opportunity for him, but it is too difficult to get this opportunity. Now that Mieshing had fallen into the endgame he had set up by himself, Jian Wushuang only needed a Dharma body to swallow the extinction Dharma body to be able to master samsara in advance. But this can only be done when he reaches the Emperor. The complete reincarnation, the power contained, is really not weak in time and space. If Jian Wushuang is expected to reach the 9 tribulations in the future, then he will be able to master 2 abilities. One is time and space, and the other is reincarnation. The sum of the 2 is the cycle of time and space. This is much more powerful than pure time and space. Back then, Teacher Xuani was able to find him only by relying on the power of time and space. When he masters the cycle of time and space, he may be able to escape the long river of time and space. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang was a little excited. Thanks, extinction, I won't give you another chance. Jian Wushuang decided to leave. When the time and space vortex, he did not explore those fragments again. Ukanshu. Com has to leave everything. It's just that now this fragment has not been completely consumed, he still needs to wait here. In God. The dying man stared at Jian Wushuang below, his eyes deep. How could he know? As Jian Wushuang said, once the power of reincarnation was first mastered by him, the chance of extinction would be very small. But now all the methods available are used, just can't hold Jian Wushuang. Master, I am afraid I will be defeated in this life. Mieshing slowly closed his eyes, and the figure of Master appeared in his mind. That is the real Lord of Death. A pair of colorful corpses, this is the extinct Master. This corpse did not know when it entered the starry sky, and when it disappeared completely. Chapter 56-21. After Jian Wushuang sat for a few years, his figure began to dissipate. Before he left, he did not forget to taunt and die. Just make the other person angry. He is not afraid of the other party's dog jumping over the wall, he is afraid that the other party will not speak, as if he is preparing for some insidious trick. After the figure disappeared, the extinction in the heavens also disappeared, returning to the long river of time and space outside the original universe. But this time Jian Wushuang left the spacetime vortex directly. It turned out that the time and space vortex existed because of the consciousness of extinction. After the consciousness of extinction left, Jian Wushuang also appeared directly in the cave of Mahayana Lingshan. No way, all the moves that should be used were used, and Jian Wushuang also understood his layout. Want to rely on luck to let Jian Wushuang meet his deity. It's almost unrealistic. And Jian Wushuang wasn't a fool either. He wouldn't enter the fragments of time and space, and could directly rush out of the vortex of time and space by virtue of his thought power. It's just that at the beginning, Jian Wushuang didn't expect it to be the layout of extinction, and thought it was impossible to get out. After leaving the time and space vortex, returning to the cave of Mahayana Lingshan, he found that there was plenty of light and there was no darkness at all. On the walls on both sides are exquisite murals. A few steps ahead is the exit. Cool. Jian Wushuang took a sigh of relief and finally returned to the real world. He has experienced too much these days. Take a step, leave the cave in an instant, and reach the entrance of the cave. Gong Miaoyi and Qianxing Buddha were waiting for him outside. Thank you too. After Jian Wushuang came out, he gave a fist to the two of them. Gong Miaoyi didn't say much, and stepped aside. Thousand-Star Buddha put his hands together and said, "This yellow beam dream of a good man, I am afraid that he has gone through many difficulties and dangers. Let's go to the Guti tree and talk about it. Where can I help the good man with a good futon? Calm your mind. Thank you, Thousand-Star Buddha Lord." Jian Wushuang put his hands together. Thanks again. It's just that he is now complete with Dao Xin, and he doesn't need external objects to repair his state of mind. But the other party was sincere, how could he be embarrassed to refuse? Jian Wushuang turned his head and glanced at Gong Miaoyi, and tentatively said, "Together?" "No." Gong Miaoyi shook his head. Seeing the other party's determination, Jian Wushuang was not good at persisting, but he still handed out a mustard seed, which contained Nai Yuan's kendo inheritance and some treasures. Make up for it. At the beginning, he also regarded the opponent as a pawn. Speaking of which, if Gong Miaoyi didn't meet him, there would be nothing wrong with him. Honestly inheriting the inheritance of his mother, after obtaining the blood Luo Jing, I am afraid that he will not be afraid of any enemies. Everything is fate. After sighing, Jian Wushuang followed Qianxing Buddha. He hasn't got the heart of the beast yet, but he is already thinking about the heart of Guti. The second soul. That is the second life. The cost of Taoist cultivation of the second soul is not too great, and the whole Guti heart is not needed, but after the emperor wants to cultivate the second soul body, I am afraid that you need the entire Guti heart. NS. I just don't know what the other party will think of him when this request is made. Even if I eat and take, I don't have a face anymore. The second soul is actually called the ordinary time. Now it should be said that it is the second source. Jian Wushuang was originally the 2 roots, and then he cultivated the 3 roots. He had thought about the third source, he used the life source, and then swallowed the dead body and became the source of reincarnation. It's perfect. He has now begun to calculate how many treasures he can take away in his hand, and he will mention it to the 1,000-star Buddha at that time. Soon after sitting down, someone sent the heart of the beast god. Jian Wushuang didn't make a fuss about this. The future is so miserable that he has got the heart of the beast god, which is nothing. Taking the heart of the beast god, Jian Wushuang took out a supreme eternal treasure from the mustard seed. Master of the world, please accept this little gadget, it's so disturbing this time. Jian Wushuang was extremely polite, and almost squeezed it directly into the other's mustard seeds. The world has never seen this scene and tried to avoid it, but its eyes have been fixed on the 1,000-star Buddha. 1,000-star Buddha coughed dryly and said calmly, since it is the kindness of a good man, you will accept it in the world. Amitabha, thank you for your kindness. Universal took the scepter and liked it very much in my heart. This is the ultimate eternal treasure. There are very few 6th-order emperors. After the world went down, only the 2 of them were left, sitting and drinking tea. Jian Wushuang had raised up in his heart for a long time, but he didn't have the face to speak out. Unexpectedly, 1,000-star Buddha took the initiative to mention it. Unparalleled scholar, what do you think of this Guti tree? 1,000-star Buddha kicked his hands and looked up at Guti. Jian Wushuang didn't figure it out for a while, but he continued up and said, this Guti tree is indeed extraordinary. Not only can it calm the mind, but the inner Guti heart can also allow the emperor to cultivate a second origin. Haha, the rumors are a bit exaggerated. If it is an ordinary emperor, he can still cultivate the second source, but at my level, there is no hope anymore, so this ancient number is useless to me. Continued, I was young and was not qualified to practice the second source, but when I am qualified, it is already in his twilight year. This time Jian Wushuang could see that when Qianxing Buddha wanted to cultivate the second source before, he didn't have the qualifications. When he was qualified, his realm was too high, and he could no longer cultivate the second source with the help of Guti's heart. Now this is to let him seize the opportunity. After Jian Wushuang felt the other's mind, he leaked a knowing smile. Directly open and say, this time the 1,000-star Buddha has a great favor to someone from the sword, just say what you need. The unparalleled scholar is serious. It is a trivial matter to remove the killing and robbery. As for the heart of the beast god, it is not owned by this mountain. Now it is regarded as the original owner, and the good scholar has already given a reward. How dare you ask for it again? Qian Xinfu quickly shied away. This time Jian Wushuang frowned. He didn't quite understand what the old monk was asking for. After Qian Xing saw Jian Wushuang's doubts, Com paused, and said, this time, there is indeed a small matter that I want Wushuang Goodmen to help. If this matter can be achieved, this Mahayana Lingshan, you can get it if you are good at it. This is extremely domineering. It seemed like he kept saying everything. This Mahayana Spirit Mountain is not the only one of Qianxing. Hey, this is too simple for me, let's talk about it. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and waited for Qianxing Buddha. Qianxing Buddha took a sip of tea, and said in a low voice, help me and Master Zhenling bring a message. Bring something? Jian Wushuang leaned back slightly, looking at Qianxing in surprise. It's not surprising that the other party knows the true spirit. These years, the true spirit can be said to be deeply rooted in people's hearts. Yes. Just bring a sentence. Chapter 56:22. Although Jian Wushuang was surprised, it was not a big deal to him. He agreed directly. Then thank you Wushuang good fellow, please send this mustard seed to Master True Spirit. Qianxing bowed slightly, then took out a mustard seed and handed it to Jian Wushuang. When Jian Wushuang took it, a trace of thought power had deepened, but he was a little surprised to find that he couldn't even open it. But thinking about it, Mahayana Lingshan is a famous mountain in ancient times, and the treasures handed down are naturally unusual. It seems that Qianxing is preparing to take Mahayana Lingshan to find true spirit for some kind of transaction. Such a pity. The other party does not know the temperament of the true spirit. For true spirit, this entire temple of Qishan is his own. Where's the deal? Thousand-star Buddha, I heard that this ancient tree can nurture the second origin. I don't know if it is true or not. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, and at the same time took the initiative to show down. He just wants this ancient tree heart. But not too much, he is just a Taoist now, 1/3 is enough. You can pay for it, as long as the other party agrees. The other party had also hinted before, there is no reason not to agree. Qianxing wasn't a fool either, he understood right away, first took a sip of tea, then smiled and looked at Jian Wushuang. This is waiting for Jian Wushuang to pay the price. Wow. Jian Wushuang directly took out treasures of more than 100,000 square cosmic crystals, which were of various kinds. In fact, he still has a lot of cosmic crystals, but those cosmic crystals, I'm afraid they will need to be used when he is in harmony, so he didn't take them out. The value of these treasures is also worth 100,000 square meters. The most important thing is his vitality. This is priceless. A ray of green light gathered from Jian Wushuang's fingertips, and the strong vitality burst out instantly, and the Gutishu instantly became more energetic. I only need 1/3 of the Guti heart, and when I get it, I will repair the backlash of the Guti tree lacking the Guti heart, and outsiders will never see it, Jian Wushuang promised, patting his chest. Thousand-star Buddha's eyes are hot, of course because of the treasures. Mahayana Lingshan, the reason why this time was not born was because of waiting for Jian Wushuang. This was not because someone had notified Qianxing in advance, but the catastrophe had already arrived. To help Jian Wushuang now is a big receipt, to become a future Jian Wushuang. Now that you can get so many treasures, it can be said that it is multitasking. As for the ancient tree, Qianxing didn't care about it. Whether it is for the Mahayana Spirit Mountain or for whatever, they will go out. Repair the original source and be able to go further. This is the dream of every one of the best. Now that the opportunity is right in front of us, how can we not grasp it? No problem. Qianxing agreed directly. Jian Wushuang did not expect that the other party would be so atmospheric. According to his understanding, shouldn't the Guti tree be the #1 treasure of the Mahayana Spirit Mountain? Just take a word and give away the first treasure. Although the Guti tree's heart will recover, it will take an extremely long time. In that case, thank the Thousand-star Buddha Lord. Jian Wushuang directly stood up. When the matter is settled, there is nothing to talk about next. Great grace does not say thank you, there will be opportunities in the future. Thousand-star Buddha also got up, and with a stroke, he opened a hole in the ancient tree. A complete Guti heart appeared in front of the two of them. When Jian Wushuang saw Jiyu Tixin, the corners of his eyes were beating. The mental strength above is extremely strong. It is stronger than his Taoist consummation. No wonder it is the #1 treasure. Through the space, Qianxing Buddha directly took 1/3 of the Guti tree heart and handed it to Jian Wushuang. The ancient tree also dimmed a lot in the next moment. But Jian Wushuang has the power of life and can help Gutishu recover. This is a thank you. After taking out 1/3 of the Guti tree's heart, the gap disappeared. If it's a commonplace or immortal who doesn't understand space, I think it's pushing away the ancient tree. Actually, it is not. Thousand-star Buddha just cut a certain layer through the 9 layers of space, and then took out the heart from the intact ancient tree. This is the same as the emperor, going to kill a commonplace. It is possible to take out the other's heart without harming the other's body. This is space. The mundane can only see the essence of space. They are able to grasp the core through the essence. After Jian Wushuang got Guti's heart, this trip to the west was completed successfully. Before leaving, he sent a group of life force into the Guti tree, and after bidding farewell to the thousand-star Buddha, he completely left the Mahayana Lingshan mountain. This time, he did not choose to take the teleportation array. Instead, he let go of all his strength and chose to fly to the temple headquarters alone. His current speed is much faster than before. Under normal circumstances, it can be comparable to the top. Exercising the eternal changes, it is possible to reach the ultimate perfection. The black hole in space and the heart of Tao are perfect. Jian Wushuang, who once felt the ultimate, now looks back and feels that he has no limits at all, only constant transcendence. Right now, he has only one opportunity left. That is He Dao. Go in harmony with the most perfect posture. Boom. The breath on his body continued to soar, flying against a huge lake, blowing up countless waves. Now he not only has his Tao heart consummated, but his aura has also reached the most perfect state. Jian Wushuang, who had originally planned to join forces on the spot, still felt a little unstable. With his current strength, going to the Tomb Mountain is a breeze. Go to the temple first and take the super teleportation array to reach the secret realm of the tomb. It only takes about a day to reach the mountain of the tomb. For him, it really wasn't a test. Now the special beings in the secret realm of the tomb have basically been moved to the primitive universe and went to the outside world to fight. The strong who stayed in the 4 secret realms were few and far between. So after Jian Wushuang got out of Mahayana Lingshan, he didn't meet a superpower. Temple headquarters. In other words, the White Tiger Palace is more accurate. Among the 4 main halls, the White Tiger Hall, the most powerful one, and the White Tiger Hall that used to be under great pressure, is now a bit depressed. Because the pressure has reached the Qinglong Palace. The outside world is under the management of Qinglong Temple. Inside is the White Tiger Palace. Now that there is no threat inside, the White Tiger Palace has naturally depressed. However, Bai Yi, the master of the White Tiger Palace, was a little bit embarrassed. He had crushed the 4 secret realms for an entire era. Yakenangshu. Come now that I am free, I am a little uncomfortable. When Jian Wushuang arrived, he directly saw the deity of Bai Yi, who was in the main hall, which was also a little surprised. Once this busy man wanted to meet, it was extremely difficult. Even if you see it, it's just a clone. Now the deity is sitting in the hall and drinking, very leisurely. It is very similar to the original Long Yi. The 4 secret realms have become back gardens. Bai Yi was also stunned when he felt Jian Wushuang's extremely powerful aura. As the world is extremely peaceful today, he hasn't paid attention to the aura of a strong man in the heavens, and now he is shocked when he sees Jian Wushuang. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-23. After discovering that it was Jian Wushuang, his brows frowned slightly. Jian Wushuang, who was extremely restrained and absolutely exposed, was actually so powerful. Jian Wushuang, are you in harmony? Bai Yi was a little unsure. Because now he can't see through Jian Wushuang either. Standing outside the teleportation array, Jian Wushuang looked up to the outside world, piercing through. Seeing Bai Yi who was above the main hall, he leaked a smile, and then he flashed into the White Tiger Hall. Jian Wushuang standing in the hall was neither humble nor overbearing, and said with a light smile, Jixia is not yet in harmony. I didn't expect the Lord to be here. Knowing that I came here to visit in advance. This is only an era, you have come to my place, but you are the invincible Dao Jun. Bai Yi looked at Jian Wushuang, a little embarrassed. Yarrow thought that when he saw Jian Wushuang for the first time, although he was also a Daoist, Jian Wushuang at that time was the strongest but comparable to the second-order emperor. Today's breath is only weak to his deity. The strength of the 4 main hall masters, although there are strong and weak. But the weakest is also stronger than the gods. They are all capable of being comparable to the existence of Tribulation Realm. Now Jian Wushuang is in his peak state, but he has reached the ultimate perfection. It is indeed only a bit weaker than them. Hall Master Miao Zon, Wushuang is just good luck. Jian Wushuang was as humble as ever. Bai Yi shook his head and said, "Your accomplishment is by no means luck, but your powerful Dao Xin." With a seven-orifice exquisite heart, Bai Yi saw that Jian Wushuang's mood was like a majestic lake without any waves. It is definitely the Taoist consummation. "You are here this time, are you going to the tomb Sacred Mountain?" Bai Yi asked tentatively. Jian Wushuang smiled and nodded, and replied, "It is indeed to go to the tomb mountain. Speaking of which, I have never been to the tomb mountain. I have always heard how powerful the tomb mountain is. This is the first time he has visited. Although he has nothing to improve now, he still has some expectations. That is the expectation of becoming an emperor. On the one hand, he is looking forward to what he will become after becoming an emperor. On the other hand, it was because he looked forward to how he would be transformed as a monarch on the tomb Sacred Mountain after he Dao. The Taoist monarchs with ordinary qualifications like tearing the sky can cultivate so fast after being in harmony. Then what will happen to him after he is in harmony?" After hearing Jian Wushuang's answer, Bai Yi nodded and said affirmatively, "It's time to go and see, that is the real holy land for cultivation. Come on, I will personally open the teleportation formation for you, and directly teleport you to the tomb of the god." Bai Yi got up directly and took Jian Wushuang into the teleportation formation. Jian Wushuang didn't expect the other party to be so polite, he also quickly thanked him, and then entered the teleportation formation. This is also caused by his strong strength. Even Bai Yi, a puppet, looked at him with admiration. The future temple of Chishan may really be pinned on Jian Wushuang. Now that the outside world is in great chaos, the arrival of the Temple of Destruction is even more sensational than the Temple of Qi. In terms of treasures, it is no weaker than Chishan Temple. Now it's just an era, and it can be evenly matched with the inheritors in the Temple of Chishan. The Temple of Chishan in the future will definitely enter a low point for a period of time, because there are fewer and fewer inheritors in the Temple of Chishan. But there are more and more powerhouses in the Temple of Destroying the World. However, the true spirit is worried about the calculation of extinction, and the death is also worried about the calculation of the true spirit. Although there are few Yangxians left in the Chishan Temple, they can still maintain the selection of an era. It's just that the speed will slow down, and it won't be as fanciful as it once was. Generally speaking, there are still some fights. Sometimes they can still stand on the upper hand. Jian Wushuang also knew the rise of the Temple of Destruction from the memory of the future. Not only cultivate elite inheritors, but even some ordinary emperors are recruited, and they are not picky at all. Although the ordinary emperor's strength is not good, but the extinction has a unique treasure, a treasure that even the original Maruo time and space did not have. Holy water. Ordinary second-order emperors only need a drop of holy water to mutate the origin, but the price is that there is never room for improvement. The body will also change. This method is very similar to the sacrificing ceremony that Jian Wushuang knows. It was created by the gods, and it should be a way to amplify the body by Froza according to a certain method in inherited memory. The Temple of Destruction of the World used the sacrifice ceremony to create a large number of powerful people. The sacrifice ceremony of the First-Order Emperor can make the First-Order Emperor become the Fourth-Order Emperor. The Second-Order Emperor can become the Fifth-Order Emperor. In the primitive universe, it is not necessary to use this method to become a powerhouse of the Third-Order Emperor. There are so many primitive universes in the long river of time and space, but the Third-Order Emperor is a strong one regardless of that primitive universe. It only takes some inheritance to be able to develop the potential of these Third-Order Emperors. Only by relying on this kind of elite emperor can he fight for a long time with the Chishan Temple. Therefore, the emperors in the sacrificial ritual are the weakest emperors. But this is also voluntary. In the face of power, they are extremely eager and do not need to induce threats at all. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang couldn't get out. If it hadn't been for extinction to target him, he would also like to go out to meet those powerful opponents in the long river of time and space. Today's long river of time and space is different from the past. There are a lot of extreme peaks. Moreover, there are also many ultimate emperors in the Temple of Destruction. The moment the teleportation array was opened, Jian Wushuang instantly descended on the secret realm of the tomb. The vastness, the turbidity, and the silence made Jian Wushuang feel that this place was a continent left by the barbaric era. Perhaps it is really an ancient continent left by the barbaric time and space of Maruo. Jian Wushuang took a step forward, and the familiar feeling passed into his body. Jian Wushuang had felt that breath in Maruo's time and space. It should be the power from the Age of God. This shows that there are treasures from the heavens in the tomb of the gods. Jian Wushuang was not surprised by this. The Chishan can become a powerhouse in the Eight Tribulations realm in half a step, and I am afraid that he will not miss the treasures in the heavens. Otherwise, it won't be crushed to death. Udu Kanshu. It was not until the fall that he chose to cooperate with extinction. The body shape kept teleporting. Jian Wushuang also had countless thoughts in his heart. Soon, hundreds of millions of miles away, he saw the majestic Tomb Mountain. On the thread-shaped mountain, there is a vast ocean, or a sea. There is also a forest of towering giant trees. They are entangled with each other on the Tomb God Mountain, and one mountain has all the sights of a world. It really is magical. Jian Wushuang's aura began to converge, and that powerful aura fell into the black hole, and then returned to calm just like an ordinary emperor. When he reappeared, Jian Wushuang was already on top of a huge warship. Chapter 56-24. Above the bow, a large flag belonging to the Vermilion Bird Palace was also flying. Jian Wushuang, the woman with a touch of scarlet armor, exclaimed when she saw the strong man suddenly appeared on the deck. Hearing "Don't call his own name," Jian Wushuang also turned his head to look around, and when he found that he was an acquaintance, he smiled lightly. Zhu Qi. This big ship was sent to the inheritors after the Vermilion Palace contest. Only by riding this warship can we travel through time and space and enter the Tomb Mountain. Regardless of where the Tomb Mountain is, even Jian Wushuang, it is impossible to fly over. Only by riding the corresponding treasure can you enter the Tomb Mountain. Because the time and space of Tomb God Mountain and the time and space of God Tomb are not together. Just looking at it with the naked eye, the two are together. Jian Wushuang was also lucky, and happened to encounter a warship that sent the inheritors who had just been selected into the Tomb Mountain. Unexpectedly, Zhu Qi was an acquaintance who was in this battleship. At the beginning, the opponent sent him to Maureen Mountain. It seems that there is still some kind of relationship with Shan Jun. What a coincidence, Zhu Qi's messenger. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly. In a blink of an eye, he has surpassed the opponent too much. The messengers of the four great halls were all ordinary puppets made by the gods using the leftover materials left over when refining the four great hall masters. Although he also has a seven-orifice exquisite heart, his combat power is far worse. It's just a fifth-order emperor. Now Jian Wushuang could tear them apart with a single blow. Why are you here? Zhu Qi stood up, walked directly to Jian Wushuang, and asked. As he approached, Jian Wushuang's eyes clearly saw the symmetrical gaps on the opponent's face, and he was surprised by Shanzhen's eyes. But since the other party asked, he answered honestly. Hearing that Jian Wushuang was also going to the Tomb Shinshan, Zhu Qi was not surprised, but asked about Shan Jun. As soon as the words were spoken, he regretted a little. She felt that Jian Wushuang's aura was very weak, and she was at the level of an ordinary emperor, and asking it was equivalent to not asking. After all, she had been in the Vermilion Bird Palace in Primitive Realm, and she didn't know much about Jian Wushuang, but she had heard that Jian Wushuang was the invincible Dao Jun. On the deck, thousands of inheritors discovered that a strange man suddenly appeared on the deck, and they seemed to know the messenger from the Vermilion Bird Palace, and they were very curious. Some of these little guys are Taoists, and some are Dayan immortals. I was very curious about everything in front of me, so I looked over. When they heard Jian Wushuang's name, they were all taken aback. Then someone exclaimed, "Invincible Dao Jun, Jian Wushuang?" Although they were in the great world of Xuanwu Temple before the trial, Some of their ancestors had entered the Chishan temple early and their status was not low. If you couldn't enter the Xuanwu Hall before. However, after the Temple of Destruction of the World appeared, Xuanwu Hall changed its normal state, not only took out a lot of puppets to help the Qinglong Temple conquer, but also included many puppets together with Tianjiao. Among these people, there was a glimpse of Jian Wushuang's graceful emperor. They told their younger generations to enter the Tomb Mountain in the future, and do not seek to surpass Jian Wushuang, as long as they can reach the realm of Jian Wushuang after being in harmony. Jian Wushuang has the best combat power. If these little guys can become the best in the future, that would be pretty good. The difficulty of the Tribulation Realm is too great. This is an epoch, and the countless resources of the Chishan Temple have been smashed down, and no Tribulation Realm has been able to appear. One can imagine how difficult it is. So to this day, the pinnacle is still the pinnacle. The outside world is the same. Zhu Dian is a super strong, basically it is difficult to fall. Moreover, there are very few absolute powerhouses in the Temple of Destruction. The two sides have been fighting for so long so far, and it is only an expedition in the universe. Every conquest of the universe starts from the bottom. Afterwards, the fight continued to rise to the Super Emperor and Powerhouse. The general cosmic conquest, the participation of the Sixth Order Emperor, is a great battle, and even the inside of the Chishan Temple will discuss it. Not to mention the absolute top. So Zhu Dian will become the pinnacle of this long river of time and space for a long time. Unless there is a large number of robbery realm powerhouses. But at the moment, it seems unlikely. When the Temple of Misunderstanding comes, mission has never appeared before. It should be the same as the true spirit. If you want to maintain the Temple of Misunderstanding, you must become thousands of people. Let's talk about Jian Wushuang at this time. Hearing Zhu Qi's question, his face trembled, and his face turned red for a while. His current strength is indeed able to fish out the mountain monarch who was originally suppressed in the second prison, but the mountain monarch is now gone. Taken away by extinction. I'm sorry about Shan Jun. Jian Wushuang clasped his fists in both hands, apologizing. If it was earlier, perhaps he would succeed. But even if it succeeds, he has no choice but to take away from the extinction. You can only think of a solution after he is in harmony. Now he owes a lot of cause and effect, although after the cause and effect are eliminated, these cause and effect can't help him, but after all, he has to pay it back. Zhu Qi's eyes changed, resisting the sadness in his heart, shook his head, pretending to be calm and said, "It's okay, it's not your fault, you shouldn't be in harmony now." Feeling Jian Wushuang's embarrassment, Zhu Qi quickly changed the subject. She knew that Shan Jun valued Jian Wushuang, so she also had a good impression of Jian Wushuang. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang felt even more uncomfortable. He was too wasteful to hear it. But it is true. No one can be protected. This time I went to the Tomb Mountain, I was preparing to join the Dao, Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Zhu Qi nodded and encouraged, "With your strength, it is not difficult to be in harmony, not to mention your current Taoism is very strong, and you will surely succeed. Don't disappoint those who can't come back." People who can't come back. There were also tears in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Yes. He can't let down those who can't come back. Those who have helped him hope that he will become extremely powerful, and he can't live up to it. "I will." Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly. There is also light in Zhu Qi's eyes, her strength is too weak, it is impossible to save the mountain monarch. Ukanshu. Com can only pin his hopes on Jian Wushuang. After saying this, he left the deck without saying anything. He also told Jian Wushuang that it would take an hour to reach the Tomb Mountain in the shuttle times. For only an hour, Jian Wushuang was naturally not in a hurry, and stood on the deck of the bow staring at the muddy void, but the law bodies in the source had been cultivating all the time. Although he has reached consummation in all aspects now, it doesn't mean he doesn't need to cultivate. Regarding Hedao's specialization, he dare not stop for a moment. The failure of the future makes him unable to tolerate any sand. Can't fail. While he was practicing silently, several inheritors who hadn't been to the tomb gathered around. It's just that they all felt that the aura on Jian Wushuang's body was not simple, Even if Jian Wushuang had converged a little, he still had some of the aura of an emperor. Chapter 56-25. Dao Jun who can rival the emperor is indeed an incomparable powerhouse in their eyes. Today's testers, because they were trained earlier in the Xuanwu Hall, have good strengths. Among them, there are several ultimate Taoist monarchs, which are already comparable to the second-order emperors. Naturally, he was very interested in the name of Jian Wushuang Wudi Dao Jun. Although knowing that it is highly probable that he is not an opponent, I still want to see how powerful the invincible Dao Jun is, so that their ancestors can say that they can reach Jian Wushuang Dao Jun's combat power after being in harmony. You are Jian Wushuang. A crisp woman's voice came. Jian Wushuang slowly turned his head, his long hair covered his profile face, and after discovering that it was a few little guys, Jian Wushuang said indifferently, "What's wrong?" The woman who spoke took a step forward, with determination in her eyes, and said, "Junior Ji family dynasty, Ji Wushuang, want to ask seniors for advice or two." Ji family dynasty? Jian Wushuang raised his brows and asked, "What is your relationship with Ji Chaoyang?" Ji Wushuang looked happy, and quickly replied, "It's the younger emperor's uncle. Your Ji family, it is a blessing to be able to produce two ultimate Taoist." Jian Wushuang praised. Ji Chaoyang is probably a sixth-order emperor now, and it is not difficult for him. Now there is a little niece, who is already the ultimate Dao Jun, whose strength is comparable to that of an ordinary second-order emperor, and her future achievements may not be worse than her emperor's uncle. Moreover, the name was somewhat similar to him, and the other party was also very young, less than an epoch. It seemed that he had chosen this name deliberately. Ji Wushuang. It's really a good name. When he heard Jian Wushuang's praise, Ji Wushuang's face also had a proud look. When the Chishan temple did not appear, the Ji family dynasty had a fourth-order emperor sitting in town, and there was also an old ancestor of the fifth-order emperor, who had been wandering through the long river of time and space. Today's Ji family has not only the ultimate sixth-order emperors such as Ji Chaoyang, but also two sixth-order ordinary emperors, and dozens of fifth-order emperors. If it was in the past and could dominate the universe, it's just that now the various family forces are in the explosive period, which is not so obvious. But it is also the top 10 superpower in the original universe. Ji Wushuang, the proud daughter of heaven, naturally feels extremely proud of her family. I and your emperor uncle, it can be regarded as a bad relationship. Since you junior has spoken, I will do a few tricks with you. Jian Wushuang turned around with a smile on his face. Cultivation is not short of this time. These little guys are staring at him with feverish eyes. How can he know that? Then use some strength to frustrate their spirit. After Ji Wushuang heard it, he was extremely excited and immediately burst out all his breath, causing ripples. Master Wushuang must be careful, my trick is not small. Ji Wushuang is also very good at connecting, directly confirming the relationship between the two people's uncles and nephews. Jian Wushuang didn't care about it. He was counted according to seniority, and he really wanted to call him Uncle Master. If he can go to Ji's house with his current strength, I'm afraid that old ancestor can't call him a brother too much. Come on. Jian Wushuang's aura remained unchanged, only raising a finger. In an instant, the breath on the fingers rose suddenly. All the onlookers backed away, feeling the power of the aura. However, there was a black-clothed man standing at the top of the battlefield with his hands around his chest, staring at everything below, and seeing the breath erupting from Jian Wushuang's fingers, his eyes shrank, and his heart was surprised. That power can actually rival me. The black robe covering his face was a little surprised. His name is Jirying. He is the strongest Daoist among the trialists this time. The surface can be comparable to the second-order peak emperor, but the real strength is comparable to the third-order peak emperor. It's just that among these testers, no one can let him use his full strength. He is very confident in his own strength. He is the first person in the Xuanwu temple. Now that he has become a Taoist, he goes to the Tomb Mountain and feels that he is the first. No one will surpass him. Comparable to the third-order peak emperor, his current ultimate way is only the 8th level. There is still a lot of room for improvement. It is not a problem for the future to be comparable to Tier 4 or even Tier 5 emperors. I have always heard how powerful the ultimate daoist in the Tomb God Mountain is, and the war spirit in my heart has long since risen to the peak. This time I didn't expect to encounter Jian Wushuang, who is known as the invincible Daojun. He was ready to shoot, but he didn't expect to be robbed in front by those family disciples of Ji Wushuang. He was born in a casual cultivator, and he has always looked down upon the children of his family. Feel that they are wasting resources. Having had countless resources since childhood, the result was not as good as a casual cultivator. It was indeed a waste of resources. However, this is a matter of birth, and I cannot blame others. On the deck. After Ji Wushuang felt Jian Wushuang's powerful aura, he took the lead without fear at all. Frost. A chill came, and countless ice blades instantly surrounded Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked around and raised some interest. Interesting. Countless ice blades continue to attack, and every ice blade can kill the emperor. This mastery is not bad, I am afraid it is the pinnacle of mastery. Ji Wushuang's ultimate way is the ice way. When it was displayed, the whole person was cold, his complexion was calm, but there was a cold expression in his eyes. The field of ice. Found that Jian Wushuang was able to avoid the ice blade perfectly, faster than her ice blade. Ji Wushuang directly used the strongest method, the domain of ice. Under this realm, a layer of frost was formed in the nearby space. Jian Wushuang's speed actually slowed down. In the field of ice roads, it is most capable of suppressing speed. Ji Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart, and once again used the ice blade to siege Jian Wushuang. Those who watched the inheritors also showed joy in their faces. To win, Jian Wushuang's speed has slowed down. No one can block the ice blade, even if it blocks, it will be seriously injured. The name of this invincible Daojun is about to be taken off. Several family children who admire Ji Wushuang have cheered for Ji Wushuang. However, there are also a few ultimate Taoists who found that things are not that simple. Ukanshu. Because Jian Wushuang started to dodge and didn't face the hard ice blade head-on, I'm afraid it wasn't because he didn't dare. Facing Bingyang, Jian Wushuang did not hide again this time. This realm can indeed suppress his speed, but as long as he leaks a little breath, he can break the realm in an instant. Just treat the juniors, there is no need to be so serious. When the ice blade struck, he did not dodge, but pointed it out, and directly confronted the ice blade. Just when many people thought Jian Wushuang was going to be unlucky, they found that Bing blade actually began to fuse when it touched Jian Wushuang's fingers. That's the ice blade of the ultimate way, so Jian Wushuang actually cracked it. Ji Wushuang was also shocked and quickly mobilized more ice blades to attack. But Jian Wushuang remained motionless, his was amazing, and he cracked all the ice blades in just an instant. Chapter 56-26. Finally, it is a point that breaks the space, and points out a pole in the space of the domain of ice. With this as the core, it instantly swept all the surrounding space, constantly swallowing all the power of the ice domain into a small black hole that was turned into a pole. Zhu Qi in the cabin also opened her eyes at this time. Originally, she didn't care, it was just a fight between the juniors. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang had already used the power of the black hole to this point. This is a complete black hole in space, and it appears to have been a breakthrough for a long time. To master the space black hole, the inheritor, the emperor, also needs to reach the sixth order emperor to do it. It seemed that the name of invincible Daojun was really not a lie, and it was more powerful than they thought. On the deck, these inheritors didn't know what kind of method Jian Wushuang used, but when Jian Wushuang broke Ji Wushuang's skills so easily, they couldn't help looking at Jian Wushuang in shock. Is it just broken? That is the ultimate realm, the realm that can suppress the second-order emperor strong, someone exclaimed. Ji Ying standing on the top of the ship was also extremely shocked. Even if he wanted to break this field, he would have to spend some means, but Jian Wushuang would not expect Jian Wushuang to do it so easily. This made his fighting spirit even more boiling. Suspended in mid-air, Ji Wushuang put away his breath. After falling on the deck, he didn't feel a trace of loss. On the contrary, there was joy on his face. He walked to Jian Wushuang and said kindly, "Uncle Wushuang, the junior has lost." I didn't expect Master Uncle's strength to be so powerful that he would break my ice field with just one finger. Wushuang, you must remember that the support of the domain is not your ultimate way, but your understanding of space. The stronger your spatial realm, the stronger your domain. Jian Wushuang liked the other party very much. Her character reminded her of some wrong paths in her practice. But even if he didn't remind him, there would be someone to teach when he went to the Tomb Mountain. Ji Wushuang nodded in agreement very cleverly. Afterwards, the familiar Jian Wushuang chatted about trials in the primitive world, and introduced Jian Wushuang to her friends one by one. Many of the ancestors of them are related to Jian Wushuang, such as the descendants of Wanyan and the new disciples of Zhen Wuyang. The disciple of Zhen Wuyang was also from Dacu, but he was not more than an era old, so Jian Wushuang naturally didn't know him. But they can be regarded as fellow villagers, all from Daciu. Although he was a Daoist who walked through the 10,000 ways, his strength was not weak for those ultimate Taoists. When he introduced him to the other side, Jian Wushuang also nodded at the little guy. This made the little guy very excited. The two prides of Daciu. One is Zhen Wuyang. Needless to say, the other is Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang has not been out, there are many rumors about him from the outside world. An era ago, he was the invincible Dao Jun. Today's strength is even more unfathomable. Not only can I see such a legendary character now, but it is also a great honor for the other person to remember himself. Jian Wushuang didn't have much air, unlike some old guys who liked to rank seniors, but talked with these juniors casually. He is also a Taoist monarch. For him, it doesn't matter if their ancestors have some friendship with him. After Dao Xin was consummated, Jian Wushuang's heart had no distracting thoughts, and only constant strength was the way to pursue. Regarding the name, I don't care. Cool. A figure fell from the sky and directly rushed to disperse the crowd. Several powerful Dao monarchs who were close to Jian Wushuang were also pulled away by that person. Actually let those Dao monarchs have no power to fight back. The opponent's strength is obviously beyond everyone. Invincible Dao Jun? The visitor was jerrying, and he said calmly, "It's better to return this title to a suitable person." Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and said calmly, "I want it, just take it." No, there must be a testimony." Jerrying looked around and said, "For example, defeat you in front of them. You don't have to worry so much, it'll be in harmony soon." Jian Wushuang said calmly, standing in place, "The name will be returned to a more suitable person by then." Jerrying's tone went cold, and he sternly said, "Then if I want to do it at this time, come and get it." Jian Wushuang saw through the other side's details at a glance, and his strength was good, comparable to the Third Order Emperor. In the first batch of their inheritors, the only one who could reach this state was the powerhouse of the ultimate light path. It seems that the other party is really not easy. It was too late. The next moment, Jerrying had already started. 10,000 me. An angry shout came. The inheritors around him retreated in an instant. Ji Wushuang's complexion changed drastically, and he quickly reminded him, "Be careful, uncle, this person is the ultimate shadow path, and can be transformed into thousands. The strength of each shadow clone is not weaker than the deity. The shadow path is special, let alone the ultimate shadow path." This move Wanwu is somewhat similar to Wanyan's Wanying Liu. Each shadow avatar possesses the combat power of the Third Order Peak Emperor, and has been able to match the Fourth Order Emperor. As soon as you come up, you will do your best. It was the extreme shadow that broke out completely. Everyone was surprised again and again, but he didn't expect that the first person among the trialists had reservations. Jian Wushuang didn't change his face. "Million me." In other words, it is a low-profile version of Wanying. This trick does not pose any threat to him. Through space, he can find the other person's true body. But there is no need to directly act on his real body. This is a bit too bullying. Since he is a powerful shadow Dao, his physical body can be divided into thousands, or even hundreds of millions. Jian Wushuang just spit out in one breath, and countless clones instantly surrounded the tens of thousands of shadow groups. How is this possible? Jiaying was surprised. Standing below Ji Wushuang was also surprised. He heard from Emperor Ji Chaoyang that the origin of Jian Wushuang is the ultimate kendo. It can be seen from the infinitely powerful divine sword behind Jian Wushuang. How can he also cultivate shadow Dao? Then everyone discovered something was wrong. The extreme shadow of 10,000 Mi is the true shadow clone. But Jian Wushuang is different. Each of his clones has a physical body and origin, and also has the life force of the deity that is not weak. For them, these countless Jian Wushuang are no different from the deity. Jian Wushuang's deity stood in place, looked up at the extreme shadow of the sky, and said directly to his real body, "Do you still want to do it?" This sentence directly frightened Jiaying. "Do you know the position of my deity?" Ji Ying stared at Jian Wushuang in surprise, his pupils directly maximized. Regarding Jian Wushuang's clone, he was even more surprised that Jian Wushuang could see through his real body. Chapter 56-27. His space realm has reached the realm of condensing stars, hidden in the space, mixed with the shadow clone, unless it is a sixth-order emperor, otherwise he can't find his true body at all. Could it be that he is a sixth-order emperor? Jiaying couldn't believe it. Even if he enters the Tomb Mountain and allows him to practice for hundreds of millions of years, he still has no confidence that he has the power of a sixth-order emperor when he is a Taoist monarch. Dao Jun could have the power of a sixth-order emperor, he couldn't believe it. No wonder it is the invincible Dao Jun. At this moment, Jiaying was convinced. Although he hasn't done anything yet, he already knows that he can't defeat Jian Wushuang. It's too bad. However, he did not give up either. A rare opportunity, how can you catch it at your fingertips? Wei Niang condensed the real body, and instantly turned into a majestic polar shadow deity. At that moment, Jiaying's combat power completely reached the fourth-order emperor. This is his limit. He has never been forced to this point. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang also took away the clone. In the next moment, he actually pulled out the Jueyun sword. This scene left everyone in a daze. No need to do this. Draw the sword directly. That was the Jueyun sword, and the power contained in it was not weak in the tribulation realm, but just as soon as it was pulled out, it made these little guys hold their breath one after another, and they didn't dare to breathe. Zhu Qi in the cabin also stood up, but she was not surprised that Jian Wushuang would pull out the Jueyun sword, but a super special life appeared in the outside world. According to common sense, there is no special life around the Tomb Mountain. There are also special beings who are bound by gods and demons, and they completely take refuge in the Tomb Mountain. But the one who appeared now was not bound by the magic circle at all. Before the warship entered time and space shuttle, it appeared behind the warship. The powerful divine body unique to a special life has a full sense of oppression. Jian Wushuang drew his sword precisely because of that special life. Although his power of mind did not deliberately watch the tide around, it can also cover a large world around him. When the opponent first appeared, he felt something was wrong. After he felt a force of death in the opponent's body, he became vigilant. However, the strength of that special life is so. If extinction is aimed at him, it is not enough. It's just the pinnacle. The special life of this kind of strength could not threaten him at all. Under normal circumstances, he only needs a sword to instantly kill the opponent. Kindness. The special life with open arms found that there was more than one emperor and queen on this warship carrying thousands of inheritors, and he was taken aback. No, he is a Daoist. Then this special life thought of something, and he was suddenly terrified. With the aura of an emperor, but not an emperor, there is only one person. It is the legendary invincible Taoist Jian Wushuang. Really want to meet this invincible Dao Jun. This time he is afraid that he will fail. He was ordered to come and kill the inheritor, and the first time he did it, he met Dalu Jian Wushuang, and he was also unlucky. In the intelligence, Jian Wushuang has the ultimate strength. He is not an opponent at all, but he still has the certainty of escape. Because of his divine body, more than 60,000 times. Even the pinnacle can't kill him. The Zhu Qi on the battleship is directly transmitting the sound of the tomb sacred mountain. Suddenly a special life of the highest level appeared, and it was behind the battleship, which was absolutely strange. She didn't dare to make jokes about the inheritors of the whole ship. Now that there are fewer and fewer inheritors, no more mistakes can be made. This request for help was sent directly to the Tomb Mountain, and the clone of the true spirit was naturally known. However, when Jian Wushuang was on the battleship, he stopped Hu Yiqing, who was going to rescue the battleship. At the foot of the Tomb God Mountain, Hu Yiqing was a little surprised when he was stopped, but after hearing Jian Wushuang, he understood. But in his clear eyes, it was no longer clear. On the deck of the battleship, after Zhu Qi sent a request for help, he rushed towards Jian Wushuang quickly, trying to remind them. On the deck, apart from Jian Wushuang, no one spotted that special being, thinking that Jian Wushuang was going to show his hand in front of them, and deliberately pulled out the Jueyun sword. Before Zhu Qi arrived, he reminded loudly, "There is an enemy attack, everyone enters the cabin to escape." When everyone heard Zhu Qi's voice, they turned their heads to look at Zhu Qi. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's Jueyun sword smashed into the sky with one sword. Jieying, standing in the air, only felt that his origin had been shattered, and his flesh and gods were trembling even more. Which sword penetrated his body like this, without any hindrance? Even the preventable eternal treasure battle armor could not resist. Just when he thought he had fallen, Jieying found that he didn't seem to be dead. But that terrifying sword indeed passed through his body. When he was surprised, everyone after hearing Zhu Qi's reminder jumped into the air and looked at the void behind the battleship. This is the first time they have seen a strong person in a special life at such a close distance. Just the majestic body makes them tremble constantly. The sword that Jian Wushuang cleaved was so small. At this moment, Zhu Qi was going crazy. These little guys did not listen to advice, and looked directly at the special being at the highest level, just like a okay person. After Jian Wushuang developed the sword, he put away the Jueyun sword, walked behind Zhu Qi and patted the opponent's shoulder, and said, "Don't be afraid, he will fall right away. This place is still some distance away from the Tomb God. Even if the superpower on the Tomb God Mountain arrives, it will take time. During this time, the warship can't stop the opponent at all." Zhu Qi shook his head in despair. She knew that that special life would fall, and that there was that kind of powerful existence on the Tomb God Mountain that could kill the opponent. But this takes time. The little guys in the sky were all frightened, but there were also sharp-eyed ones, and at a glance they saw which sword Jian Wushuang had previously opened. Jieying reacted at this moment, and turned his head to look back. Only then did they understand that Yukanshu. Jian Wushuang drew his sword not against Jieying, but against that terrifying special being. That tiny sword shadow was very slow, they watched carefully. But for that special being at the highest level, this sword was too fast, he couldn't hide. Although this sword is not the first sword in the Starry Sky catalogue, it is a sword that contains the true meaning of time. Others looked slow, but for the special being of the highest level, it was fast and terrifying, and couldn't resist it at all. "Uncle Master with two hands, your sword shadow is too slow." Ji Wushuang stared at the tiny sword shadow, and said tremblingly, "This is the superpower among the emperors, it's terrible." Jian Wushuang raised his head and said to the little guys, "Let Jianying fly for a while." Zhu Qi also found that something was wrong, and now it took a breath. The special being of the highest level did not attack them. End of this chapter. Chapter 56-28. Is it really a coincidence? She soared into the air, looking at the special life of the highest level, but found that the other party was moving slowly, trying to avoid that sword intent. But his speed is too slow. Much slower than Jenny. In that special life's perspective, it was only a moment, the sword intent had already arrived in front of him. As he approached, Jianying turned into a world of swords. Instantly wrapped the entire majestic special life, and the sword intent filled the world. Then it broke out completely. It penetrated the body of a special life like cutting melons and vegetables, breaking the other party's divine body more than 60,000 times in an instant. The divine body is broken, and the special life falls. With just one sword, behead the top powerhouse. This scene made Zhu Qi stunned in the sky. Jian Wushuang was actually so strong. And it's not yet in harmony. A Taoist monarch, beheaded the top. Among those inheritors, some of the children of large families have seen the most powerful. The breath of this special life is stronger than the best ancestors of my family. A family child showed fear. But in the next moment, that terrifying and extraordinary special being had already fallen, his body turned into countless powder. The power of the divine body was quietly collected by Jian Wushuang. He has now collected a lot of treasures of the divine body. Said it was a treasure, but it was actually taken from the body of a strong god. For example, the tortoise shell of the master of the Turtle Spirit Island. There is also the body of the 8-clawed beast emperor. And now that special life divine body at the highest level. He was included in the body. After he became the emperor, he could have a full meal. In the shock of everyone, Jian Wushuang walked into the warehouse. The threat has been lifted. But those little guys are extremely excited. Dao Jun, can you be so strong? One sword, kill the top. Ji Wushuang's eyes are also glowing and hot. From this moment, the stalwart figure in front of her was no longer the emperor, but Jian Wushuang. I am afraid that now everyone has that figure left in their hearts. Jian Wushuang's appearance when he drew his sword. Just when they wanted to go back to the deck and get in touch with Jian Wushuang up close, they found that Jian Wushuang had disappeared. Zhu Qi also understood what Jian Wushuang meant, so he prohibited them from entering the cabin to disturb Jian Wushuang. Many people are a little bit lost. They are now extremely envious of Jian Wushuang which sword, and they have endless doubts. For example, everyone is puzzled, Dao Jun beheads the top. The more powerful they are, the less they dare to ask in front of Jian Wushuang. This is about the origin, and it is provocation to explore the same existence. But these little guys are too weak, and they can be regarded as childish if they ask. Jerrying, I blame you, I have to provoke senior Jian Wushuang. Someone blamed. Now Jerrying is more eager to talk with Jian Wushuang than them. When he saw which sword, he knew that there was no hope in this life. It was not that he would never be able to surpass Jian Wushuang in his entire life, but that he would never be able to achieve Jian Wushuang when he was in Daojun. The ultimate Daoist, even if he cultivates to the extreme, is at best comparable to the 5th-order peak emperor. It is impossible to match the 6th-order emperor. Not to mention that it is comparable to or even beheaded. Hearing other people's ridicule, Ji Ying didn't get angry, but stood on the bow of the ship, his eyes focused on the distance, but in the bottom of his heart, he carefully pondered which sword he had just made. Although the cultivators are not from the same origin, the power contained in the sword shadow just now is too much, and he only needs to draw a trace to benefit infinitely. Originally, these little guys were more excited when they were about to reach the tomb Sacred Mountain, but now they saw Jian Wushuang's move to kill Zhu Ding, and became even more excited. They chatted on the deck. With a smile hidden in Zhu Qi's eyes, he left quietly. Looking at Jian Wushuang in Chuansang through the white screen windows, Zhu Qi felt a sense of purpose. That was the trust in Jian Wushuang and the feelings for Shan Jun. She believes that Jian Wushuang will one day free Shan Jun from the second prison. Now even the 4 main hall masters don't know the relationship between extinction and the Chishan temple. Zhu Qi didn't even know. So Shan Jun was exterminated and looted, no one knew except True Spirit and Jian Wushuang. Maybe the inmates in the second prison know it, but they can't get out. On the contrary, the Xuanwu Hall Master and Yun Zhongjuan discovered that something was wrong. The Blood Demon and 10,000 Demon suddenly disappeared. It's just that they think it was done by the real spirit. For this reason, Lord Yunzhong asked for the True Spirit for a long time, but finally couldn't listen to the True Spirit, and took some advantage to send the Lord Yunzhong away. But Palace Master Xuanwu is not easy to fool around. 10,000 demons are very important to Xuanwu Temple. Because 10,000 demons have a deep understanding of all things, and together with the puppets, they are the proud masters, only slightly weaker than the Xuanwu Hall Master. Such an important person suddenly disappeared, and the Xuanwu Palace Master must first suspect that it was the real spirit. But after thinking about it, something was wrong. Did not go to find the True Spirit. On the contrary, the True Spirit personally explained this time, and said the matter of extinction. The scene at that time was very strange. The master of the Xuanwu Hall was frightened. Because the prophecy came true. In other words, the long river of time and space of destruction is the one in front of us. A hero appears, and everyone will be buried, including Chishan Temple. Therefore, the master of Xuanwu Hall will be so generous in the follow-up, taking out countless puppets to help the Qinglong Temple conquer the Temple of World Destruction. There are only two ways to break the Temple of Chishan. One is to become a powerhouse in the Seven Tribulations realm. This is definitely impossible. If it could be done, he would have done it early. With the current extinction, there is a high probability that it will be the strong one. Although it has half a step of the battle power of the Seven Tribulations realm, it can't be improved. After all, it's been so long. Based on what Jian Wushuang saw in Moruo's time and space, it was speculated that the original death was the powerhouse of Sanjie. However, the extinction in the heavens, although the strong man of scattered robbery, is at least the strong man of scattered robbery in the Eight Tribulations realm. After all, after being separated from God, everyone can have a half-step Seven Tribulation realm combat power. The other party's background is unfathomable. If you don't reach the Seven Tribulations realm, you can't break the Temple of Chishan, then there is only one way left. It is to train countless inheritors and fight against the Chishan Temple. The countless inheritors of the temple to destroy the world are trapped to death in the Temple of Qi. It's just that it hasn't worked yet. Miesheng turned into the Temple of Mishi this time, Ukanshu. Obviously, Com has also made sufficient preparations. There are so many treasures in the heavens, I am afraid that there are more than the Temple of Chishan. As long as you are trapped in the Divine Temple, or waiting for the birth of the ancient monarch and the demon, the extinction can stabilize the Divine Temple. That's why he became the Temple of Destruction. This is also the same as Jian Wushuang's memory in the future world. The extinction that appeared again was just a pinnacle, the same as his strength. To devour him. So Jian Wushuang didn't dare to go out now, even if he was in harmony, he couldn't go out. No one knows what means extinction has arranged in the outside world is waiting for him. Jian Wushuang couldn't gamble. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.